You've sat in rooms with some of the world's top business minds, all starting from cold outreach. How did you earn that level of access, and what others learn about trust and positioning?
I grew up in the social media world. That's how you build a business anymore. You ask a youngster how to build a business, you go on Instagram, and where trust, credibility, and authority plays a huge role is when you are doing like advertising campaigns or cold outreach strategies. You want to be known as somebody.
And in today's noisy digital world, trust is harder to earn and easier to lose. What's your approach to helping brands rebuild trust with their audience, especially in competitive industries?
I mean, there's a million different ways, and you're absolutely right when you say that. Like, you could spend years and years building up trust with your audience, but it could only take a day to lose it completely. And really how we start, where we really specialize in
Press and someone building true long-term authority.
I mean, press is only as good as it gets you, right? Like, if you get published in an article or something, like you get on the front page of Forbes, it's cool, but it doesn't necessarily.
And you've also talked about aligning brand presence with business values. How important is authenticity in today's media landscape?
Oh, yeah. I think authenticity means everything anymore. I mean, especially with everything that's coming out, like AI and stuff, people are fiending authenticity. So
welcome to another episode of Boardsi Leadership Talks, where we explore leadership, innovation, and the future of executive impact. I'm your host, Martin Ravinsky, CEO of Boardsi, and today I'm joined by a powerhouse in public relations, JJ Carter, the Chief Innovation Officer and founder of Golden PR, a media agency known for building authority-driven PR campaigns that fuel massive business growth. JJ built a $1 million agency by the age of 22 and has since helped over 1,000 clients land features on top-tier podcast, television, and press, including Fox, ABC, and CBS. He's worked behind the scenes with high-level CEOs, influencers, and companies to position them as the trusted voice in their industries. But more than just media strategy, JJ work is about trust, positioning, and creating sustainable momentum for growth. JJ, welcome to the show. It is
thank you.
great to have you.
Oh, it's great to be here. I'm excited to kind of get into it and have a good conversation today.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I got some questions, and I'm sure we'll stray away from the questions, but you are a very successful youngster, and you've built this from cold, direct messages. So you've sat in rooms with some of the world's top business minds, all starting from cold outreach. How did you earn that level of access, and what others learn about trust and positioning?
Yeah. I mean, as far as like cold outreach goes, that's kind of how we started. Because especially, I mean, anybody knows starting a company, you start with not a lot of money, right, and not a lot of
Bootstrap.
resources. Yeah. So the only thing that I could do, I mean, I grew up in the social media world, right? Like that's how you build a business anymore. You ask a youngster how to build a business, you go on Instagram and send some DMs and build a website and kind of go from there. And that's like where I started, where in order to get business, I had to just reach out to a bunch of people and kind of establish myself in the space. And that's kind of like where trust, credibility, and authority plays a huge role is when you are doing like advertising campaigns or cold outreach strategies. You want to be known as somebody, and you want to have a reputation in the space. So I think that helped me convert a lot of my DMs and stuff just by having certain people follow me, or certain people that I had as case studies or features in major publications when I was getting started in PR, or being on podcasts like this one, because it helps you establish trust, credibility, and authority with a cold audience, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I saw the benefit in doing that.
Yeah, it 100% makes sense. And you're already going to make me go away from this. But obviously, there's influencers, and you grew up in that era of social media, but you chose a path of working with executives, working with high level businesses, big names, Where in your journey, your upbringing, did that play a role into? Like, talk a little bit about your young days,
Yeah, so when
younger
I'm
than even you are.
yeah, I started I'm 23 now this week, so I am fairly young.
Happy
And
birthday.
yeah, thank you, thank you. But I started when I was in high school, and where I really got my niche was I was doing a lot of marketing advertising for my father. He owned a construction company, so I would do a lot of lead generation and stuff like that for him. From there, I took those skills when I graduated high school to start partnering up with brands and businesses, advertising for them. And I would just sell my services for a couple grand a month. I'd advertise for you. I'd take percentages of your business, whatever the case. And then from there, I established a big network of different influencers through like influencer marketing or branding. And then that's when I started like building businesses around some of these like influencers and stuff, but it kind of got boring really, really quick because at the end of the day, like I was just sitting behind a computer screen making these guys millions of dollars, advertising, doing all this stuff, which is cool, but it wasn't like something that was driving any like passion. So that's where I kind of asked myself, like, what could I do with the network that I have built of all these influencers, podcasts, of the skills that I have learned over the few years that I've been doing it. And that's where I kind of fell into public relations for C-suite entrepreneurs, executives, business owners, people of that nature, because those are people I genuinely enjoy talking to. And not only that, I'm not just like sitting behind a computer screen anymore. I'm like actively, I'm actively getting these guys on interviews, on air, on television, on Fox, ABC, CBS. They're doing a podcast at a billionaire's house, and I'm showing up, taking pictures, doing the like setting the whole thing up. But it's a lot more like, I guess, passion driven. And I found a lot more value in that because, in my eyes at least, like somebody's brand, somebody's resume, the podcast that they get on, the television, the press, whatever, the brand strategy, it becomes like their own digital real estate, their own digital asset in my eyes. And that just kind of, I don't know, drives a lot more passion in creating that for them and being a part of that rather than just like making them a few extra sales by advertising on Facebook and Instagram or something, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Passion can be very powerful when you believe in it, and then you see the results, and it's amazing. So that's awesome. And in today's noisy digital world, trust is harder to earn and easier to lose. What's your approach to helping brands rebuild trust with their audience, especially in competitive industries?
Yeah. I mean, there's a million different ways, and you're absolutely right when you say that. Like, you could spend years and years building up trust with your audience, but it could only take a day to lose it completely. Um, and really, how we start, where we really specialize in, is taking like a C level or an executive entrepreneur that doesn't have much of a media presence, and we build a foundation for them of trust. And we do that with a variety of different things. Usually, we first look for like borrowed credibility, right? The easiest way you could get somebody to trust somebody is like through a referral. Let's say my friend tells you if my friend tells you that JJ is a really good guy, you're gonna trust JJ regardless if you ever even met me or not. So how we get that like borrowed credibility quickly is through like press releases or podcast interviews or television interviews or brand strategy in general, pairing you up with the right people. Because, if I'm on a podcast with Martin, a lot of Martin's friends are going to look at JJ and say, well, if Martin liked him, then I must like him. Right. So that kind of establishes trust with your audience for myself. And that's what we do for a lot of our clients to help them establish that. Once we have that foundation and stuff, it's a whole different ball game. Now we just kind of start leveraging that into bigger and better opportunities, tapping into different demographics, different industries, and just overall building up this huge, like, I guess, like snowball of trust and appearances and credibility, and then just pushing it down a mountain with a bunch of like exposure. So,
That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
transfer trust.
Right. It's the easiest way to put it, and that's the easiest way to earn it. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mm.
And you're also known for turning CEOs into thought leaders, which is something that I'm very passionate about. In our company, Boardsi, we created a whole branding program in mainly in writing. Obviously, this podcast also exists, but We push our members to write their biography. We help them establish that, and then we push them to write thought leadership articles. But what's the difference between someone chasing press and someone building true long-term authority?
Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, press is only as good as it gets you, right? Like, if you get published in an article or something, like you get on the front page of Forbes, it's cool, right? It's awesome, but it doesn't necessarily do anything like for you. So, like, I think as when you start getting like major press and you actually start chasing authority, is when you start leveraging the stuff that you do get for good and to like help people, right? And that's where we kinda come in, you know, like, I could get you published in Forbes, but if it just sits online at the top of Google, I mean, that's all it's gonna do is gonna sit online at the top of Google, but once you start leveraging that, to connect with more people, to build trust with your audience, to post on social media, to better your sales cycle or whatever the use case, that's when it starts becoming an actual asset. You could start leveraging it into authority, into credibility, and it could really, really change the course of your career. You know what I mean? And like, and how you, I guess, like operate your business. So, um, I think like certain things like with what we do, press and stuff, like it's only as good as it gets you. But once you start actually incorporating it, leveraging it, and using it specifically for good, it becomes very powerful. So,
Yeah, so basically, I mean, you can, and I've done this, you can write a book,
mhm,
but if you don't tell anybody about it, you don't use it,
right.
then it's just a book,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's just a bunch of pages in a cover, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta let people know that you're the authority, you wrote a book about it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
let
you
that
gotta get
sit
up on
forward.
stage and start promoting it, you know, you gotta start putting it out there and showing people, telling people to read it, and getting, more and more people to kinda start consuming you as a brand. I mean, I like to bring up this reference a lot when I speak to some of my clients is, like, we try to build an upside down triangle, so no matter where people find you, the bottom of the triangle is gonna be your service, your business, where people, like, invest with you or interact with you, and the top is gonna be all the stuff that they see online. And like we try to build like it pretty universal, whether they're looking for you on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on Google or whatever. They're finding a lot of these articles, let's say that we publish for you. They're clicking on links in that article. They're watching a bunch of podcasts that we got you on. They're getting on, they're seeing television interviews that you're leveraging through your social media. Then they're clicking on links in your LinkedIn, and then they're purchasing your book and reading a book. And then they're booking calls with you, and then by the time they're on a meeting with you and you're trying to sell them or bring them on as a client or something, they're already invested. They've already consumed content. I think the statistic anymore, I just talked about this on a previous podcast, is that in 2025, we're facing like this massive trust deficit where people like to consume at least 7 to 8 hours worth of content on an individual before they even make a decision to wanna work with them, which is crazy. And the
That's
fastest
a lot
way
of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. And the fastest way to get that, like 7 to 8 hours, is to do things like having your own podcast or getting on your own podcast or making appearances or just posting videos or whatever on social media. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, I realized everything you said except for the 7 hours. That's crazy.
It is nuts, but think about it, like, as if somebody I mean, what better way for somebody to wanna work with, let's say, Martin at Boardsi, right? What better way for them to wanna work with you than to click on a YouTube video that they found interesting and then just fall into the cycle of watching your content, watching your content, watching your content, and then from there, you know, by the time they do end up on your website or end up at your book, like, they already know you, they built a relationship with you, and you've already kind of you already resonate with them, so it kind of builds that gap a little bit, that
No,
trust gap a little bit better.
100%, and that's again, the 7 hours is crazy, but the more we totally believe more content, the better, and we actually found it because, we help, executives find board positions or advisory work, and we found a pattern that the companies that eventually pick the people they wanna interview, they're picking the ones that actually have content. So obviously they're doing research, they're digging in, they're trying to figure out of these 20 executives, who do we want to spend some time with on an interview? And you're correct. They're picking the ones that have written articles, written a book,
Yeah, yeah.
been on a podcast. They got to know him before they even got on the phone with
Right,
him.
and
So
I would agree that, like, you could probably do it without, like, you could, but you'll find yourself selling a lot. You'll be trying to pitch, 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 and selling yourself, but, like, if you look at some of the most elite level entrepreneurs, that's the one thing that they have on everybody is this massive, massive brand. Like, I think in 2025 anymore, like, back then, before, like, 2010, you probably could have built a company and never been known ever and been able to be very, very successful. Like you think of IBM, you don't really know who the CEO of IBM is, but if you think of like the bigger brands now, like Amazon or Tesla or something, you know their founders and you know who they are and you resonate with them. So no matter which brands they attach to that name, they're going to be able to take off. So they could walk into rooms and there is no more selling themselves of why Amazon is the best because people already know Amazon's the best. Like he's already built this massive personal brand to go with it, and this trust, this credibility. People already feel like they know who he is before they even meet him. And the same thing goes at a smaller scale, where you could do it, but you'll be finding yourself pitching, selling your services to people, doing all this stuff. Whereas like somebody like me, I just get on these meetings and it's like, do you want to work with me or do you not? And
yeah,
we'll go from there. You know?
yeah, they already know
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Right.
That's awesome. Now let's talk about how do you help not only your clients but also your own team build a culture that resonates both internally and externally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things that I guess like build culture externally and internally. I think like it kind of brings us back to our first conversation here which was like about like passion and stuff like that. Cause I'm like as the owner of Golden, I manage a lot of different moving parts. I manage people that are doing social media work. I manage people that are doing our sales calls. I manage people that are doing our actual fulfillment and our success coordinating. I manage a bunch of different things. And it's important to intertwine passion and like understanding of what we're like the mission here throughout every single one of those moving parts. I think that's very important. There can't be any discrepancy between, let's say, a closer or sales rep and the fulfillment team. So I think like just sharing wins and the actual like impacts that we're having on these entrepreneurs and on these brands and like constantly reminding people of the mission that we're on and what we're building here helps build some of like the internal culture that resonates externally, especially like when you have like let's say sales reps or something getting on meetings or going into rooms and they're trying to sell your services. It's important that they truly believe in what we're priced at and what we're doing for these people, so then they could sell with passion. And then the same thing with our onboarding team. It's like they have to truly, truly believe that this is worth, the investment and everything that they're doing here to um, kind of really fulfill on them. So it'll be, that's kind of like we try to intertwine passion and what we're doing throughout to just overall build the culture, I would say.
Awesome. And you've also talked about aligning brand presence with business values. How important is authenticity in today's media landscape? And how do you help leaders refine their voice?
Oh yeah, I think authenticity means everything anymore. I mean, especially with everything that's coming out like AI and stuff, people people are fiending authenticity. So, the second like I think honestly, some people are watching these podcast clips and stuff and just looking for a red flag that says it's fake or says that it's AI or says that it's not
I
authentic.
am AI.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. And they're even looking at me probably right now and saying, "Is this guy full of it or is he actually serious?" Like, because there's a massive, like, trust deficit no matter what, right? And I think, like, that's, like, where we're at. So, I think it's super important to have an authentic brand. Not only that, have somebody that knows how to speak yeah, just how to put together a good brand voice and a message and, like, something that's gonna resonate with the masses. And be trust. Like, a lot of people think, especially with what I do, people come to me all the time, they think media, and the first thing that they think is, like, fake news, fake whatever, everything's fake in the media world, and I don't like to say that. I like to say what we do here is organizing the truth. So we'll take somebody, and take all their truths, all the good things, and position that in a way that is authentic, and does still make them look good, and kind of go from there. But yeah, I think authenticity overall is extremely important now in the landscape that we're in, given everything that's circulating on the internet, how many courses exist that you could buy, or fake gurus or AI clips or whatever, so it's
AI models.
yeah, yeah, you gotta separate yourself, and I think the fastest way to separate yourself is borrowed credibility. It's getting other people's voices to, back you up and tell other people that you're a good guy, and, you could do that via, press, you could do that via an interaction, you could do that at an event, you could do that wherever. You could, co-author or co-sign a book or whatever, and that just helps you, build up that authenticity overall.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
you already talked a little bit, obviously, about AI, but what other trends do you see shaping the next generation of public relations, and how should executives prepare now to stay ahead?
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest one overall in my world definitely is going to be AI. I think that's as revolutionary as like the internet was. And there's going to be a lot of controversy surrounding it regardless. And if you remember, it's probably better in your time, like the internet was controversial as well when that started, like first started coming out. People thought that the internet was going to start taking jobs away and start doing things, and instead, it kind of turned and brought us how much opportunities, like sitting on a podcast virtually right now across the country from each other, right? So, like, I think AI is the same thing, and it's either you adapt with it, and you build with it, and you incorporate it and integrate it throughout your business, and accept the fact that there's chat gpts that could just write better than any writer on the earth right now, and leverage that throughout your writing processes and stuff like that, your pitching processes, all of that, and train it to work for you rather than just dying with it. If you look at some of the generation that didn't agree with the internet and where they're at now, like some grandpas have no idea how to use a phone, and they're living in the stone ages, and it's just like they got left behind. So I think the same thing with like AI, artificial intelligence, all these modules and everything that's coming out right now. I think you just have to leverage it and accept the fact that that's like the where we're going, and it's not going to just take things away. It's going to provide a million more opportunities than it's going to take. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And the ability to be able to even train AI to do specific things and be a genius or think like you. If you got enough data out there on yourself, you can train it. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would, like, take that away and just, like, think that it's taking from you, but I think from my perspective, it's helping. Like, I could train an AI to do all my appointment setting right now, so you could talk to a robot and book an appointment with me. I used to have to hire somebody to do that, but now, like, I could take the resource that I just had to hire that person for and put him somewhere else, and it's just going to make us all grow as a business, so I can only
Yeah.
imagine what it's doing for the world.
Yeah. It should be enhancing it and
Mhm.
not, we shouldn't be fearing it. We should
Right.
learn it and use it to enhance our work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's
absolutely.
what it's there for. Since you're very successful, you started, hustling at 16, you're still in high school. What message can you give to the young entrepreneurials out there that are trying to make it?
I would say, I mean, there's a million things that I could say. I'm fairly religious, so the first thing I would say is build a relationship with God, and learn Him and understand and work with Him first, more than anything. But other than that, if I couldn't say that, I would just say, like, keep your head down and focus and just believe in yourself, and understand the mission that you're on and love it. Find passion in it and just keep building regardless of what other people tell you. I've dealt with so many things growing up where it's like, there's times I call it age discrimination because I was like 16 years old building a business, and imagine working with an executive, a 50-year-old executive at a company. Like, he's going to look at a 17-year-old kid like he's full of it. Um, I would just say, like, stand like, just kind of stay focused, keep building, never give up, and if it's meant to happen, you got a relationship with God, it'll all work out and you'll be fine, so
Powerful message. Thank you. And JJ, how do people get hold of you? If they're listening to this, they're like, oh, I'm going to talk to JJ.
Yeah, they could go to my website, www.gldnpr.com, and then you could just reach out to me, my team. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, and I'll be there.
All right, awesome. JJ, thank you for bringing the heat today. That was
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. I love your story. It's a masterclass in how trust, hustle, and clarity can change the trajectory of a brand and career. And to our audience, if you're ready to elevate your media presence and turn your expertise into real influence, follow JJ's work and explore what GLDN, Golden PR, is doing to reshape modern public relations. Thanks again for tuning into Boardsi Leadership Talks, where leadership meets visibility. And until next time, keep building bold and leading with purpose. JJ, thank you.
Martin, thank you. It's happy to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Leadership Talks. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful conversations with industry leaders. Your support means a lot to us.